Hello and welcome to Sunflower Philosophy Tarot. My name is Juliana, and today's Timeless Pick a Card reading is all about what people admire about you. So it's going to be a pretty straightforward reading, but I will talk more about the reading breakdown once I get into the group selection. But first, I'm going to do a brief centering exercise, as I always like to do before these readings. So if you are new here, it's just a little 3 or 4 or so minute meditation that we do together to get centered and reconnect with our intuition and maybe set an intention for this reading. So if you want to stick around for that, we'll get into it in a few minutes. And if not, then you can feel free to go to the pinned comment or the timestamps in the description and skip ahead. But for those of you who would like to join me, let's get into it. So first of all, if you are driving or participating in any activities that you really have to pay attention to, I would ask that you maybe skip this and come back to it another time. But if you're able to and you're ready, then settle in, get comfortable, take a seat or lie down, or just get as comfy as you can in whatever position you're in right now. And when you're ready, you may close your eyes and bring your attention to your breathing. And as you notice your breathing, you don't have to adjust it or anything like that. It may automatically shift as you bring your attention to it, but just notice more the sensation of the air flowing in and out of your body, and notice how with each exhale you relax even deeper into the surface that you are resting on. And set the intention now to connect with your intuition. Connect with that part of you that knows without always knowing why you know. That will be an important aspect for you, as it always is in any part of life. But when it comes to these readings, any reading that you're listening to or watching online, it's always about how the messages connect with you rather than what the person is saying or how they're saying it. You will know what is truly meant for you when you hear it, when you engage with it, when you are connected with yourself in the moment. No need to think too much about it. You can feel it. You know it. So I'm going to set the intention for all of us here that you will receive the messages that are meant for you in your highest good, that will help you feel confident, lighter, and confident in your place in the world and in other people's lives. And you may select your own intention and set that now if you wish. Excellent. So just know that even as we are connecting with messages today about what people admire most about you, know that you are worthy no matter what anyone else thinks or says, and you have the power and ability to admire and validate yourself, and just be aware that even if there are messages here that you are hesitant to believe because you might have trouble accepting compliments or hearing good things about yourself or imagining that other people think and feel good things about you, that they absolutely do, that your perception of yourself is something that can always shift and change, and so are the perceptions of other people. And you don't always know exactly what's going on in other people's minds, but trust that there is much to admire about you. And if you're ready to find that out, then let's head over to the group selection. Of course, as always, if you would like to meditate a bit longer, feel free to pause. But for anyone who's ready, let's get into the groups. Okay, so thank you for whomever joined me for the brief centering exercise, and thank you to anyone else who did not. I'm happy to have you here either way. I clearly have 3 groups for you today, and I as I mentioned in the intro, this is about what people admire about you. I did pull a couple of astrology cards for each group, so we'll talk about just like a major overarching theme of an admirable trait or thing that people admire about you across all of your relationships. Just whatever wanted to be brought to attention right now for your highest good. Of course, there are many different ways to approach this topic, and this isn't the end-all be-all of what people admire about you either. So keep that in mind. This is just what wants to come through right now. So we do have 3 groups here, and the first group, I do have 3 crystals laid out here as well to help you choose, but you can also use, of course, the timestamps or just your intuition. Like, obviously, sometimes you're just drawn to a group and you don't know why. But the crystals we have for each group are, first of all, for group 1, this clear quartz crystal. Lovely. We have this blue opalite. Very nice. And for group 3, we have this Dalmatian jasper. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. So, take a moment. You may pause the video if you want to. You can go to the timestamps, take a look at the timestamps for each group, and when you're ready, I will see you over in your reading. Hi Group 1, if you selected this clear quartz crystal, then you're in the right place, and this is your reading all about what people admire about you. So, as I mentioned in the intro, I do have these 2 astrology cards that are going to get into like a whatever like major trait or big theme that your higher self or spirit guides wanted to bring forth for you right now. This isn't by all means the only thing that people admire about you. We'll get into tarot cards and we'll get some more things that people admire about you later, but this is just like a big trait or like a major theme that that you may or may not be aware of that you bring to a lot of your relationships and people notice and pick up on and admire. So let's use that as a jumping off point to then get into some other things that people admire about you. And I want to also remind you that this won't even cover everything, right? Some of the traits here or things that we bring up that people admire about you might make sense to you. They could be things that people have told you about. You might already know this or be like, yeah, I could see that. But there might also be things that surprise you or things that are unexpected or that you didn't really think of in that way. So keep an open mind and be ready to accept some compliments and some positive things that others see in you. So without further ado, let's flip over your cards. So for you, we have transits with the keyword of climate and retrograde with the keyword of review. We have number 55 and 15, so the number 5 seems significant, along with the number 1 and the number 6. Transits and retrograde. So this is really interesting. I'm getting the sense right off the bat that an overarching theme that you bring to people that people notice and pick up on about you, that they admire, is your ability to deal with or move through difficulty or hardship with grace and ease. Even if it's not actually easy for you, you kind of make it look easy. Because transits and retrograde are both things that people could consider difficult. So transits are obviously like when, well, maybe not obviously if you don't really know astrology, but it's when planets, celestial bodies are moving through different signs and houses and how they impact your chart, and the energy in the atmosphere usually has some kind of say in like what lessons you might be learning, if that's how you look at it, or just what things might be happening in your life around that time or in the world. And so while that's not inherently a negative thing, a lot of times it comes up when people are talking about things that could be like a little bit dicey, or, you know, people are warning about a certain transit or just letting you know like, hey, you might be dealing with this theme during this time, right? And so it's really about the element of change and of adaptation as well, and how you respond to change, how you respond to different climates, how you adapt to different climates. So I feel like you are a very adaptable person, and people see that and admire that about you. And with retrograde review, some people are really, stressed out by retrogrades as well. Retrogrades are pretty neutral as well. It's just a concept of when a planet appears to go back a little bit and repeat through the same sign or house or degree that it used to be in, that it just came out of. So like it's not something, the planets don't actually go backwards in the sky, but it has to do with like how they all rotate. You know, if you know anything about retrogrades, you don't need me to tell you this, but it's like something to do with the planets appear to go backwards, and that's when you might be reviewing lessons that you just learned from the previous transit that the planet was in. And so sometimes also with like Mercury retrograde, for example, people associate this with a little bit of upheaval or turmoil or just like frustration. I thought I got over this, or I thought I already did this. So there's a bit of a connotation, at least right now, time of recording out there, where sometimes people look at retrogrades as something that's difficult. But again, I feel like this coming up for you as something people admire about you is that you handle this kind of thing with grace. You seem like someone who can go through the seemingly same thing twice, but have adapted to that thing and like, quote unquote, pass the test with flying colors. Like, you don't actually, maybe for some of you, you don't even notice so much that there might be some repeating patterns happening in your life because you don't really repeat them ever in the same exact way. You kind of learn your lessons and you adapt and change and grow. You're constantly changing and growing so that even when you review things, quote unquote, it's never really the same exact experience for you. And I feel like you might not even be aware at how well you handle certain situations that could be really frustrating for other people or just take other people a lot of time to get right, quote unquote. So people really admire this about you, which is pretty cool. So with that said, and another thing is you might actually be good at helping other people recognize certain patterns in their lives, and you also might be really good at helping other people adapt to change and adapt to new climates. I'm also thinking of someone who is like a really good mentor at work, for example. So like people come into your team and you help them adapt to the climate and you help train them and help them learn how to make the most of their new situation. And maybe you do so in a way that is unique and different than anything that they've experienced in other positions before or in other departments before. And with the review card here, the retrograde card here as well, you might also literally help people review certain things that they might have even forgotten about, like someone who helps people remember that it's important to get back to basics sometimes when there's something that you have learned and you feel like you're really good at that thing. You forget that there are aspects of the initial learning process that might be important later on that you might not need to know once you reach a certain level, but then if you actually remember those elements of the learning process, it can help you advance further, or you might need to review those every so often. I feel like maybe you're good at reminding people of that or doing that yourself, going back to the basics so that you can level up or re-up your skills in some area. Interesting. Okay, cool. So we're going to then just shuffle up some cards, and we're going to get about 5 tarot cards to represent, I'm going to move these over here so we have room for the cards, that will represent more things that people admire about you or elaborate. We're going to leave it open to see what wants to come through. And then we'll close out with a Rumi card, just because I haven't used those in a while, and I thought that would be nice. A nice way to cap it off. So let's get into this. So group 1. What do people admire about group 1? 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 Okay. Nice. And I don't know if the bottom of the deck actually needs to be here. Let's take a look. So I'm feeling called to get a clarifier for each of these. I don't even think I already got some meanings, but I don't know. I feel like I want to get a clarifier. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to use the mini Biddy Tarot. So I'm using the Biddy Tarot for your reading here. The big Biddy Tarot cards. And now I'm going to use the OG, like, little mini cards for clarifiers. I have not used these in so long. This is, like, the first deck that I really got to know tarot with. It's not the first deck I got. The first deck I got was, like, a really big and elaborate one that's really cool, and I love it. I've used it in some other readings here, the Mary L Tarot, but it wasn't really good for learning the basics. So this Biddy Tarot deck, oh, yeah, it's, like, so bent. You see that? It's been so long since I've actually used it, but yeah, let's use it for clarifiers. Why not? All right, so let's clarify this. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put that back in. So, Biddy Tarot deck, welcome back. Let's clarify for group 1, each of these cards representing things that people admire about them. So let's first clarify this 5 of Wands. Let's clarify this 5 of Wands, please. Let's clarify this 5 of Wands. Ace of Swords. Okay. Let's clarify this 4 of Cups. 2 cards. 10 of Swords reversed. Knight of Wands reversed. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's clarify this Hanged Man. Let's clarify this Hanged Man. What do people admire about group 1? Let's clarify the 3 of Pentacles reversed. The 5 of Swords reversed. Let's clarify this Chariot. Wheel of Fortune and 5 of Wands. And let's clarify this 3 of Cups. Man, you guys are popping out in doubles, like, all over the place. All right. Ace of Pentacles and the World. Okay. Oh, 9 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. I'll leave that there. There's an independence that people really admire about you, for sure. A self-sufficiency, an independence, a you know what you're about kind of attitude. Not easily influenced by other people's opinions, not easily swayed on your stances in a way that I think people admire, because I think a lot of people really wish that they felt more comfortable and confident in the way that they think, probably. It feels like it's not like a stubbornness or an unwillingness to change your mind or to see other people's perspectives, but it's more like a confidence that you think that the way that you think for a reason, and you're not just going to change your mind so that you conform to someone else's ideas just because you want their approval. So you're not going to just, like, kiss someone's ass because you want to do well in the workplace. You're not just going to say that you agree with something just because someone else is really passionate about it. You'd be willing to hear someone out, but you wouldn't necessarily just placate them, if that makes sense. You wouldn't just say, oh yeah, sure, I totally agree, when you really genuinely don't. So, yeah. So that's starting with the 5 of Wands, Ace of Swords. I mean, I feel like you cut through the conflict. I feel like you are someone who, you might also often get the last word in conflicts, or you might be a conflict ender. You might be someone who can really cut to the chase and get through all of the noise. Because with the Ace of Swords here, there's a clarity here that you don't really see in the 5 of Wands. Like, the 5 of Wands is like petty scuffling. I feel like taken alone, the 5 of Wands can indicate playfulness as well. So you might have also a playful side that people really admire. But I feel like with this Ace of Swords here, it's really about when things are stressful or there's a lot of conflict or gossip in the air, or just like a lot of energy happening, you're able to cut through that bullshit and bring clarity to a situation. With the 4 of Cups and the Knight of Wands and reversed and 10 of Swords clarifying it, that honestly, I feel like that's where I really initially got that message of you are someone who you also won't just take an option that's given to you just 'cause. You're someone who's not going to necessarily impulsively, you're not going to impulsively take any offer that comes across the table, whether in business or relationships. You're someone who holds back. You know when to hold back. You know when to take your time, when to not jump into something that is not truly meant for you. Because I feel like with the Knight of Wands and Ten of Swords clarifying in the reverse, with the Knight of Wands, it's upright. That would be impulsivity. And that could be really fun. That can be a really great energy. But I feel like you're pretty good at sensing when an option or opportunity might end in... What is this? Actually, it's the Nine of Swords reversed. Yeah, when something might cause more worry than is necessary for you, might cause more anxiety than is necessary. I think people really admire that you, maybe even, for some of you, this is very specific. Some of you might not drink alcohol or might not indulge in certain substances or activities that other people do that are kind of addictive or aren't necessarily the healthiest for them. So, and literally just, you don't engage in that behavior because maybe once you did and you know that that has a negative effect on you, maybe that brings you a lot of anxiety. And maybe in general as well, something else that came through is that you don't partake in substances to offset your anxiety. So a lot of people in your life might be people who do like to indulge in certain activities because it helps them just like take the edge off, right? And listen, done in a controlled way, in a healthy manner. I'm not here to judge people's decisions or choices, but I feel like a lot of people admire that you are someone who does not do that. That you're someone who won't just like have an impulsive night out at the bar because you had a really difficult day. You have different ways of handling that. Again, because I think that doesn't really improve your anxiety. I think you have a different approach to handling mental stress. That is not what people in your life typically gravitate towards. And that's something that people really, they see the value in that. Whether they say it or not, The Hanged Man here, with the Five of Swords reversed and the Three of Pentacles reversed, you're not afraid to hold back if you don't know the answer or if you are not the one for the job. Yes, people admire that you don't always need to be the center of attention or to jump into action on something just because you feel like you have to, or you feel like you're the only one who can do the job, or people admire when you hold back, when you are able to take a step back from the spotlight and allow other people to shine. And this is also where I can see you being someone who, even if you are very independent and an independent thinker and you have your own perspective on the world, you are not opposed to letting other people change your mind if their arguments are sound, or if you understand that what they're saying connects with you on a deeper level. You're not afraid of having your perspective shifted. You don't consider arguments or debates a competition. You're not someone who needs to be right all the time, which allows you to be someone who can have your perspective changed by a true and thoughtful and genuine conversation or just experience. You don't always need your idea to be right or your idea to be the best one. You can listen to other people. You can understand their ideas and their perspective. You can be open to them, which also makes it easier to accept your perspective when other people can sense that you're actually right in this case, or your perspective is the ideal one, or your idea is the one that is best to go with. Because people know that you're not just saying that. People know that you're not just trying to get on top. People know that you're not just trying to one-up them. People believe that you believe in your ideas. And they also believe that you would believe in their ideas if they came to you with a good one. So that's another thing that people really admire about you. With the Chariot and the Five of Wands and Wheel of Fortune. Five of Wands again. Interesting. People really admire your persistence. I think all of these aspects, I feel like you are a really good leader. You might not always enjoy a leadership position. Maybe you're not someone who intends to step up and take the reins, but you definitely have a lot of leadership qualities here based on the things that are coming through. It's possible that a lot of these traits that people admire about you are coming from your workspace, like are coming from people that you work with specifically. It doesn't have to be exclusively that, though. This can shine through in any area of your life. But I definitely feel like there are a lot of strong leadership qualities here. And I feel like with the Chariot, you're someone who can take the lead, who can stay the course and stay steady in your chariot, your metaphorical chariot, through conflict and through the ups and downs that come with life or come with work, maybe the environment that you're in, maybe even in your family as well. You're someone who stays steady throughout all different types of climates. Yeah. You are a rock, honestly, I think, for the people in your life. And you're very good at that. And people really admire that, and they want to be that as well. They want to be that for you, or they want to be that for other people. There's a lot that they can learn from the way that you stand in your power and the way that you, and it's in a quiet way too. Like, I don't think this is a really like in your face aspect of you. I feel like this is something that is just kind of inherent and there, and people sense it. People can feel it and appreciate. They appreciate that a lot. And with the Three of Cups, that's where somewhere that fun energy is coming through. Like, I was getting a bit of a serious vibe, or just like a steady, even keel, like measured vibe. But with the Three of Cups at the end here, like, friendships may be very important to you. I feel like people admire how you are as a friend, what kind of friend that you are, how you value your friends, how you treat your friends. People really enjoy being your friend or value your friendship. Even if you don't always know this or don't notice, people really do. With the Ace of Pentacles and the World here, people also really admire how you grow. I feel like you might have friendships in your life that, like, people have grown with you, grown up alongside you. Maybe you have a lot of long-standing friendships, and maybe in general you are a very committed friend, like you're a long-term friend. I feel like this Ace of Pentacles is like the seed, the starting point, and then the World is like what that seed grows into. It like goes from this one like little teeny tiny thing into the whole world. like I feel like you have staying power in your relationships and your friendships. You have the ability to really be there for people, and a lot of people who are friends with you, or even people who aren't, who might just like have an outside view of your life, really admire the long-term friendships that you have and how you maintain those, and how you just have grown in your friendships. And yeah, and with the Three of Cups as well, and the Five of Wands there being there even, I feel like people just have fun with you. You might be someone who, when people are right, when the situation is right, you're a good time. And it's interesting because I get like a lot of like stern or stoic energy from some of these cards, but there's some playfulness here too. I want to add, so we have the Nine of Pentacles over here on the bottom of the little bitty tarot deck, and the Four of Pentacles on the bottom of the bigger one, which there wasn't really room for it, so I didn't really want to put it down. But that's, to me, stable. That's stability. Nine of Pentacles is independence, is independent, like, is a measure of self-worth, of being really satisfied with what you've created for yourself. Can sometimes even be like a self-starter or like an independent business owner. But just someone who's like a leader of their own life and is really satisfied with it. So yeah, there's a lot of stability here. You may or may not have a lot of earth energy in your chart. But just with Pentacles being on the bottom of the deck, I feel like it's just like there's a steady foundation with you. There's a firm foundation with you that people feel like you have a firm foundation in yourself, and people who are important to you and in your life regularly feel like you are a firm foundation for them, and or like you have the capacity to build a foundation together. So with that being said, I want to get a Rumi card to close out with just any closing messages for group 1 regarding what we learned today about what people admire about them. And I just want you to know, like, you can, take these messages as you will. Like, you can use these messages to help yourself see these traits within yourself, to help grow them and cultivate them more, or to just feel good about yourself right now and just, like, take the win and just be like, yeah, like, these are really great traits. Maybe I'm really a great person after all. And I said that because some of you might already know this or, like, be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. This is who I am. But some of you might be a little bit more hesitant to accept that all of these things are things that people see in you. But they're here for a reason, so trust it. All right, so Rumi, any final words of wisdom for our friends here in group 1? Why are you afraid of a fox when you descend from lions? Why be a lame ass when you have the strength of stallions? Ooh, Rumi, okay. So I feel like Rumi here, I mean, just if you have any impressions or anything to take from that, just from the jump, take it. But definitely getting the sense of some of you not understanding or knowing your true value or power quite yet. Maybe even keeping yourself a little bit small because you don't see all these things about yourself and you don't understand how valuable these traits are, not just because other people admire them and see them in you, but because, like, they are, like, you are, this is who you are, right? So some of you might not have witnessed the full force of your power yet. So this is something to keep in mind. Some parting words from Rumi about how you descend from lions. So you might underestimate yourself sometimes. Oh yeah, that's what this is. That's what this is. I think you underestimate yourself sometimes, but there are plenty of people in your life who, I mean, there might be some people who underestimate you too, but there are plenty of people in your life who don't underestimate you, who do see your value, and who will, even if they don't yet. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope you feel good about yourself right now. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you're interested in a personal reading, check out our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com, link in the description. And if you're interested in our hypnosis or human design services, we do offer those as well. So feel free to check all those things out. Thanks again. Have a wonderful life. And I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye. Hi, Group 2. If you chose the blue opalite, then you're in the right place. And this is your reading all about what people admire about you. So as I mentioned in the intro, I have these astrology cards here to kind of give like an overarching theme or major trait that you bring to most of your relationships in general, that your guides or higher self wanted to highlight for you at this time. Is not by any means the only thing that you bring to the table. We will be getting into the tarot cards in a bit, and we will talk more about things that people admire about you. And we'll close out with a Rumi card as well, just for a little last message for you. So without further ado, let's get into these cards. And keep an open mind, because some of the things that come up might be things that you see in yourself or that people have complimented you on, or that you are like, yeah, that makes sense. And then there might be things that you're not as aware of that might come up. So keep an open mind to what people think about you. So let's flip these over. So for your astrology cards, we have Gemini with cross-pollinate and third house with communication. Wow, Gemini and the third house. So like, for those of you who don't know, Gemini is ruled by the third house, or it rules the third house. I forget exactly how to phrase that, how that works. But yeah, so you might be a Gemini or have prominent Gemini energy. Does not have to be the case. Numbers 3 and 4 and 1 or 5 might be significant for you. But when I was pulling your astrology cards, actually, like multiples of 3, like 3 cards kept popping out at a time. And I was like, no, please just give me one. Please just give me one. Then I got 2, and then I got 2 for the last group. So I had to go back and get another card for the first group. It was just like crazy. But for you, I felt like so many things wanted to come through. And I feel like this is because for this group, these are my social butterflies here, or like busy bees. Now, if you don't relate to that at the jump, it doesn't have to be that you're like an extrovert or like a really like outgoing person. per se, but I do feel like there's something in the way that you communicate. You communicate in a really special way or a unique way that people recognize and admire. And that is probably why so many cards kept coming out at once, because there were so many ways that you could... It's because you, I think, communicate in such either an effective or a unique way that I feel like you might have a lot of different interests and a lot of different ideas. So what people admire about you are all the different like facets of you that they get to see that might be different from the facets that other people get to see. And so like the main idea of what people admire about you is how you communicate yourself and how you communicate with them. Maybe even how you communicate with others in terms of like you can talk on many different things. You can have a deep conversation about many different topics because you might have a lot of different interests. And you also are really good at asking other people, oh, you really like that? Oh, tell me more about it. Oh yeah, I know about that thing too. I saw X, Y, and Z. Hey, what do you think about this? What's your perspective? Like, people love the way that you can talk to them about almost anything. That's what I feel like is coming through here. So that's why so many different cards kept popping out, I feel like, because everyone might have a different thing to say about you, like a different thing that they think is cool or they really admire, but it comes back to this idea of how you communicate. It's just because you communicate yourself so well, because you communicate so effectively with people or communicate in a way that people don't often encounter, that the things that you say, the conversations that you have, your personality itself, whether you are someone who's like always out there, always having a good time talking to people, or you're more of an introvert and you only come out of your cave like every so often, like people will remember you. People will remember conversations with you. That's the big thing coming through here. So, without further ado, let's get into tarot cards to get more information about more things that people admire about you. I just love that both of these cards came out together. Like, yeah, with the bees together and the hummingbirds together. So you also might, maybe some of you have like one or a few significant friends or like a significant other or significant friend group that people might also admire, like your close relationship with like a sibling or a partner or a certain friend group as well, or the way that you form close relationships. Even if they're not close to you, they might admire the way that they might admire your like other friendships or your other connections and the way that you connect with people on a deep level. But let's see. I'm going to get 5 cards, and then I'm going to get clarifiers. So I'm going to use the Big Bitty Tarot deck, and then I'm going to use the Bitty Bitty Tarot deck, and then close out with the Rumi cards. So let's start 5 cards from the Bitty Tarot deck. What do people admire about Group 2? What do people admire about Group 2? 2 of Wands. What do people admire about Group 2? Okay. We'll take all of these. The High Priestess, the 3 of Wands, the 2 of Swords, and the 5 of Wands. Interesting. 5 of Wands also came out in the last group. Okay. Already getting some things, but I'm going to pull some clarifiers. 5 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. We may or may not return to that, but I don't really have room to leave that out there, so we're going to put it off to the side and we'll see. And let's get some clarifiers for each of these cards. Yeah. Not surprising that we have a few swords right here. But let's see. Let's clarify for what people admire about Group 2. Let's clarify this 2 of Wands, please. That's too many cards. Let's put that back in. Can we clarify this 2 of Wands, please? Can we clarify this 2 of Wands? Okay. Page of Cups and 7 of Swords. Okay. Can we clarify the High Priestess? 10 of Swords. Can we clarify this 3 of Swords? Ooh. We have Judgment. I'm going to put that in the upright. We have the 2 of Swords. Wheel of Fortune. Wow, that's funny because the Wheel of Fortune was in the same place. Different card, but it was in the same place for Group 1. That's so interesting. And 5 of Wands. Let's clarify. Justice in reverse.
Interesting. 9 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck again. I swear I shuffled this. This was also on the bottom of the deck for group 1. So it's possible that some messages there will also resonate with you. I mean, this is definitely a reading where potentially all 3 groups could resonate, but because there's no limit to the things that people could admire about you. But let's see. All right, and Pentacles on the bottom of the deck too. 5 of Pentacles and 9 of Pentacles. People, lots of Earth energy, or at least like very stable, or like slow, secure material. I don't know. Interesting. All right, so let's start over here with the 2 of Wands, clarified by the Page of Cups and 7 of Swords. Earnest. That's the word that came to mind first. I feel like you are someone who people might admire, okay, so people might misjudge you at first, or take you maybe for a little bit childish or innocent or playful, which are all good things, or fine things, but they don't realize that you're hiding kind of a very interesting perspective, which is why I feel like when people really get to communicate with you and really get to have a deep conversation with you, that's why, that's what they just love how you communicate yourself, and they find you fascinating. Like, there's a lot that you're hiding or that seems to be hiding behind an exterior or a facade, or just something about you that it's easy to judge you as maybe simpler than you actually are. Because with the High Priestess here, you might have, I feel like you might be someone who has a lot of spiritual wisdom to share and knowledge that other people, again, don't expect up front, but then once they learn that, they might actually come to you for advice, or they always trust your advice when you give it, especially when it comes to things that are like difficult endings, or how to deal with difficult emotions and difficult thoughts. You might have a lot of experience with difficult mental cycles or patterns in your life, and you can use that wisdom for others to help others navigate that as well. Maybe even things like depression and anxiety. Maybe some of you are actually like a counselor, or a spiritual counselor, or a psychologist, or some kind of therapist, or something in that field. Even if you are, I feel like whatever you do and however you do it in a very unique way, at least to the people you encounter, that they're not used to the way that you do things, and they really see that as valuable. But even if that's not like your profession, you might have inadvertently even helped people with issues like that. With the 3 of Swords, clarified by Judgment, they also admire the way that you don't judge other people's deepest, darkest secrets or hardships, or emotions even. You might be someone who can go pretty deep in terms of the issues you're willing to talk about, or the emotions that you're willing to reveal. You might be someone who talks deeply about things that you've been through, or you're not afraid to maybe even engage in subject matter that other people might find difficult to watch or engage with, but you're not fazed by it, or you don't judge it. And people maybe don't expect that. Maybe a lot of people you work with or people that you encounter come from environments where there's certain things that you don't talk about, or certain things that people it's just too hard for them to talk about. But when they get with you, you make it a lot easier for them to open up. And also, I got this feeling of being very open-hearted and open-minded. So you don't easily let judgment cloud your vision or get in the way of you navigating this world and interacting with all different kinds of people and engaging with the darker or sadder parts of life. With the 2 of Swords here, clarified by the Wheel of Fortune, the first thing I got when I saw this 2 of Swords, even before the Wheel of Fortune came out, was people might really enjoy crossing swords with you. And I mean that in the sense of like a witty repartee, if that makes sense. Like, people might enjoy having witty banter with you. Maybe they enjoy debating you, or maybe you enjoy debates, or maybe you just enjoy like playful back and forth. People enjoy exchanging ideas with you, and I feel like people enjoy that they might never know exactly which side you'll take, or which side you'll take in an argument, there might be with Gemini energy coming through strong. Okay, yeah. So there's the element of being able to see multiple sides of a situation, to see both sides of a story. I feel like people admire the way that you can see so many different perspectives, or like you can maybe reveal for them someone else's perspective. Like if someone comes to you because of an argument that they're having with someone else, or they're struggling to understand someone else's perspective, you can reveal that for them. You are someone who is able to understand where someone else might be coming from. With the Wheel of Fortune, there's something, it's interesting. I'm getting this feeling of like, I think sometimes you can also be a neutral party, like almost like a fixed energy, something that people can, someone that people can trust to not take sides, even no matter how long you've known someone. You're not loyal to a fault in terms of if you don't agree with them, you're not going to quote unquote take their side. You might not even take sides at all. And this is something that some people might not like, but I think a lot of people in your life do admire about you, because they understand the value of having someone who can be a neutral party and who's not just going to yes you to death because you're just, you've been in their life so long and like, yeah, I'll take your side even though I don't agree with you. Like, you'll be honest and you will you'll reserve your judgment and reserve your, you'll be honest about your perspective. You'll look at the situation from the outside, no matter no matter how clouded your judgment could be by like how long you've known someone, or even your own prejudices in the situation. You're aware of those things and you can step outside of them and look at a situation from a different view, even if it's hard, even if it's difficult. And people can count on you for this. I feel like a lot of people count on you. I feel like this Wheel of Fortune here is like a fixed kind of like through thick and thin, you're always there to give that perspective. With the Five of Wands, clarified by Justice in reverse, you're also not afraid to fight injustice. You might stand up for things that you believe in. You might be someone who isn't afraid to get into the fray a little bit when it comes to people who have perspectives that you don't agree with, that you feel like need to be challenged. Like, you will challenge people's perspectives. You might be a little bit feisty. You might be a little bit of a fighter when it comes down to it, but in a positive way. Like, people admire this about you. So people in your life might, you might need to stand up for a lot of people in your life, or there are people in your life who are also of that same mentality, and so they really admire that you're really good at that, especially because you're such a good communicator. I feel like you can really effectively get in there and fight for things that you believe in. But also, there might even be people in your life who maybe aren't so confident standing up for themselves, or aren't so confident for standing up for other people. Maybe even like to remain a more like neutral party outside of the fray, but they admire your ability to mix it up with people all the same, because it's not something that they feel comfortable doing, but they can see the value in someone who does do that. And it could also be that, take this as it resonates, there's the message of like not being afraid to get in the fray and mix it up and fight in the face of injustice. There's also the message of maybe also being good at like doing such a thing in a more playful, less serious way. With the Five of Wands here, like almost like playful competition or playful like banter, but like that comes from a place of like a deeper sense of knowledge and fairness and justice. Like, you're able to, you play fairly, you give equal weight to, not equal, it's like you can walk the line between understanding another person's perspective and understanding where they're coming from, and sticking to your guns and sticking to what you know is right, but communicating it in such a way that people, like, almost, I'm getting like a comedian who is able to tap into the part of people that just loves to laugh and be playful in order to help people see a perspective they might not have considered before. I feel like that's one thing that a really good comedian can do, is engage with people on a level that helps them feel comfortable enough, and also take some of the heaviness out of a situation so that they can feel like, let their guard down and feel more comfortable being like, oh, well, you know what, haha, like maybe, you know, I can consider someone else's point of view, or, you know what, like, maybe we're all human at the end of the day, like that kind of thing. Like, they can make jokes that bring people together. It's almost like, I feel like that's the kind of vibe that you can give off sometimes. You might be really good at diffusing the tension in arguments or in situations where people are really polarized in their views through humor. Even if you have a perspective that falls on one side or the other, you might be really good at bringing people together, and people really admire that about you. Maybe you are a comedian, or maybe you're just a funny person. There's definitely, like, with a Gemini and third house communication, like, there's a lot of wit here. There's a lot of humor, quick thinking, confident communication, and being able to understand people on a deeper level. That I think is not necessarily, like, I feel like you feel like someone who comes across as very approachable, yet underneath the surface you might have takes, opinions, views, perspectives, or just like a way of talking, communicating that people might expect it to be polarizing. People might expect that they wouldn't get along with someone like you on the surface, like if that was on the surface, but since it's a little bit deeper, it's kind of like people get to that point where they get to know you on a deeper level, and like they're more willing by that point to accept you and to see your perspective and to value and validate what you say. And you are more effective at honestly changing people's minds and opening up their perspectives for that, basically. So I'm going to close this out with a little message from Rumi here. Just got some little Rumi quotes. All right. Yeah, this one popped out, but like I hadn't asked the question yet, so like I was like, oh, I'll put it back in, and then it popped right back out again. So this is clearly the right one for you guys. So this says, I've gone beyond the self, I've soared beyond the limits of time, I've traveled to eternity, I've taken a strange form. Yeah. It's kind of like, Gemini is kind of known, like, some people consider Gemini to be a bit two-faced, right? But while you and maybe at times you do wonder, like, oh, is it too easy for me to switch sides or to see different perspectives, or to see how maybe we don't need to take sides. Maybe there's a third option. Maybe there's a different way to approach a situation. Maybe sometimes it's hard for you to see the value in that because sometimes people really want you to take a side or really want you to be more argumentative or, I don't know, like less open-minded to certain kinds of people. But you're someone who I've gone beyond self. I've soared beyond the limits of time. I've traveled to eternity. I've taken a strange form. You might relate on like a deeper spiritual level to the idea of having past lives and having incarnated as many different people and many different things. And so you're someone who's really interested in exploring all different kinds of perspectives because you already have done that. Or just you are someone who really likes that. Also, like last minute message coming in, you might be a reader. Reading is something that is really good for developing this kind of awareness of other people's perspectives, because a lot of reading is being inside another character's head. I mean, it depends on like what kind of perspective like a story is told in, but still like you get like a really up close and visceral and personal view into someone else's experience that you don't get as much when you're like just watching a movie or a TV show. It's not that you can't like develop that kind of understanding from those either, but it's really different. Like if you're a reader, you know what I'm talking about in terms of just being inside someone's head. And so I feel like also if you're a writer as well, you have that experience of needing to understand what it's like to be in certain different kinds of people's heads, because you want to be able to write a lot of different characters that feel real and feel fully well-rounded. Not all authors necessarily accomplish this. But when you read a book that really does, and I feel like you will know what I'm talking about, because I feel like you understand this, like you're down. If you're a reader, you probably really appreciate books that are really good at like, no matter what a character's done, it's not trying to tell you, oh, this character's good, this character's bad. No, we're about nuance. We're about exploring. We're about, like what are the depths and what are the complex aspects of this character's personality, right? Like, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because like Gemini, third house, that can be more surface level. It doesn't necessarily go deep, but I do feel like that's the thing. It's like you hit people up front with like this, like, oh, they're just like fun, flirty, and free. And then like all of a sudden you're like deep in analyzing like a book or like their psyche or like an aspect of life, and they're like, oh shit, like, okay, this person knows some stuff. Like, this person's like, they're like getting real deep. I didn't expect that. Like, you're a traveler. You're not meant to be limited in your perspective, and this is something that people admire and value about you, even if it's not always easy for them to swallow. Like, even if some people can't meet you on that level, they learn something from you. They really like that. And there are people who can, who do, and who enjoy engaging with you on that level because you bring out something in themselves that they also have. And that's so cool. Yeah, so don't be afraid to take some strange forms and engage in different perspectives, because, like, that's really cool of you. And with the Nine of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck here, very independent energy, which is interesting because with the Five of Pentacles, that could be a codependent energy. So I feel like there might be a lot of people who admire that you stay strong through thick and thin, similar to, like, Group 1's message, honestly, or you appear to. But also, like, I feel like you might not be a very easily codependent person, or you might be someone who has maybe even worked through some codependency issues and have developed a sense of independence, even in relationship, that people really admire. Okay, so that is it, Group 2. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of that. Please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear what you think of this. And if you're interested in a personal reading, then we have them available on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com. You can check out the link in the description. We also offer human design and hypnosis services. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful life, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye! Hi, Group 3. If you selected the Dalmatian Jasper, then you're in the right place, and this is a reading all about what people admire about you. Why do people admire you, Group 3? So, as I mentioned in the intro, I pulled 2 astrology cards to kind of get the ball rolling and talk about, like, an overarching theme or thing that you bring to most of your relationships in your life that people do recognize and admire. But it's not the only thing, and I mean, there's like infinite things people could admire you for. So we're just going to bring up some of the things that your spirit guides or higher self wanted to come through today. And then we'll get some tarot cards for more things that people admire about you. We'll get some clarifiers, and then we will close out with a little Rumi quote. So let's get into it, and keep an open mind. Some of the things that come through might be like, yeah, I see that. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Maybe people have complimented you on certain things before, and other things might not be quite so obvious. So leave room to be complimented, leave room to be surprised, and yeah, let's just get into it. So for your astrology cards, we have Midheaven with Pinnacle, number 36. And we have Scorpio with Investigate, number 8. So numbers 8 and 9, 3 and 6 might be significant here. And it's interesting with Midheaven and Scorpio. It's like we have like the pinnacle, the top, the highest part of the chart. And then we have Scorpio, which like goes deep in the depths. So one thing that people might really admire about you is your range, like your range. And they might also admire your ambition. I feel like you might be someone who, whether you have a lot of like flashy or easily like categorized success, quote unquote, in your life or not, people recognize and sense a level of potential in you and a level of ambition that not everyone possesses, and that they might not even possess in themselves, but they recognize it and they admire that in you. There's also a willingness with Scorpio here to go deep on whatever it is that you're passionate about or interested in, or just in life in general. There might be an element of mystery to you, things that people can't quite get at, like they know that the depths are there, but they can't quite reach them. And they might admire this in you because it's kind of interesting. It's intriguing. It's a little bit cool, you know? And they might also admire that, like, there's not really any telling. Like, for some of you, you might be someone who, like, you come off as, like, a well put together, successful person, and yet maybe no one really fully, like, knows what you do. They don't necessarily know everything about your life. Like, there's an element of what you see isn't always what you get with you. That's kind of similar to group 2. I feel like what often happens, especially in like 3 card readings, like 3 group readings, is that each group sort of builds off of each other and like they feel almost like there's a lot of intertwined themes. I don't know why I specifically noticed that with 3 group readings, but it's also like all slightly different. Like it's not exactly the same. It's really interesting. And this is a really interesting energy too. Like I feel like people don't always know what to make of you. Like you're a bit of a mystery to people, but like people know, like there might even be like a dignified or like royal kind of, like I'm getting like Cinderella's castle when I'm looking at this midheaven card. Like there's like a royalty, maybe even a knowledge that you have, maybe people admire that you've maybe gone through a lot of difficult times in your life, or like there's been a lot of things you've had to go through to get to where you are as well. There's just like an overall sense of gravity. Like there's a heaviness, but like in like a good way, like a gravity to you, to your presence. Interesting. Yeah. Like people really want to know you. They want to understand you. They want to get to know you. But one of the things that they admire about you is that that's not an easy thing to do. Okay. So let's get more into it. Let's get into more of what people admire about you with the Biddy Tarot cards. So we're going to get 5 of these cards, and then we will get clarifiers with the mini Biddy Tarot deck. So, Group 3. Group 3. What do people admire about Group 3? What do people admire about Group 3? 5 cards, please. What do people admire about Group 3? Oh my god, the 9 of Pentacles. This came out on the bottom of the Biddy Tarot deck for both of the groups prior. It's the first time it's come out in one of these main 5 cards, though. What do people admire about Group 3? What do people admire about Group 3? Whoa, okay. The Empress, whoa. Okay. The 8 of Pentacles, the 7 of Swords, and the 9 of Cups. Wow, okay. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, and then this coming out next to Scorpio. Oh my god, and the 7 of Swords. God. Wow. Okay. 6 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. I don't have room to put these out here once I get all the rest of the cards out, so we may or may not return to that. Might not be the most important card here, but damn. So, the other groups had a lot of earth energy come out on the bottom of the deck. You also have that coming out on the bottom of your deck, but you have a lot coming out in the... Wow, okay. This is definitely a very successful group in one way or another. Geez. Okay. I'm getting like Queen of the Castle vibes. Doesn't matter what your gender is. Like, ooh, yeah, very regal, very royal. Like I was saying when I saw Midheaven. Wow. Let's clarify. So let's clarify this 9 of Pentacles, please. Can we clarify what people admire about Group 3? 9 of Pentacles. Can we clarify this 9 of Pentacles, please? Can we clarify this 9 of Pentacles, please? 2 of Swords. Is that upright or reversed? Yeah, we'll go upright. Can we clarify this Empress, please? Can we clarify this Empress, please? 9 of Wands. Yeah, can we clarify this 8 of Pentacles? That's a lot of cards. And that's the 9 of Pentacles again. I'm going to shuffle it, though, again. Can we clarify this 8 of Pentacles, please? Queen of Swords reverse. Is this reversed or upright? Alright. 7 of Swords. Wow, okay. Whew. Emperor. Wow, an Empress and the Emperor out here. Oh my gosh. This is... Okay. For group 3, the energy is notably different. I feel like these cards are popping out a lot more, like, straightforwardly. I feel like almost like you've taken control of this reading in a way. You're very powerful. Oh, people, like, feel that power. And this 9 of Cups. Wow. All right. Upright or reverse, please? Let's go upright. Bottom of the deck, we have the Empress, and it's in reverse. But because we have the Empress in this... Okay. There could be something significant with your mother. Like, your mother could have played a significant role in your life. You could be a mother. Some of you, maybe you've also lost your mother. That's coming through as well. But, of course, you'll know if that's the case. I'm not sure if I want to put this Empress. I think I want to put it upright, honestly. Yeah. Whew. Okay. Really powerful energy here. Potentially very powerful feminine energy, but it doesn't matter what. I'm getting some like weird things coming through, but it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Doesn't matter your gender. Definitely feminine energy. And definitely there might be some significance relating to your mother or a mother figure in your life, or like the role of mother in your life. Okay. Starting with the Nine of Pentacles here. I feel like, yeah, there's that feeling of like being queen of the castle, being successful, being almost like opulent and regal in how you carry yourself or how you exist. And I feel like with the Two of Swords, the first thing I got was people don't know how you got here. I feel like it's kind of a mystery. Like, you are kind of a mystery to people, and they admire the things that they see in your life, but there's like this awareness that there's a lot to it. There's a lot that it took to get to where you are. There's a lot that it took to have the things that you have, to have the life that you have. Even if this is just like your persona, like this is just how you come across, this is just like how people read you, and it's not necessarily about like how you actually live your life. Like, maybe you don't actually like live in a palace and like have like a really quote unquote traditionally luxurious life, but like there's something about your energy that is just so powerful, and people are like, they don't see how you got here, they don't understand, or they don't know what, like how you got to be this person, but they know that there's a story there. Like, they intuitively, or maybe they just know, they're aware that there's like more to the story. Like, you didn't just show up in the world this way. And with the Empress clarified by the Nine of Wands, like I feel like that's like you sitting in your creative power, in your full potential after like a long difficult road. Like, that is something that people admire, like how in your power you are after everything that you've been through, after the way that your life has gone. The specific example that just came up is like, if you are someone who is a mother, people really admire, like, if it took you a while to like be able to have kids, or to like go through that process, to become stable enough to raise children, or like you went through a difficult time, like where something with like there's like people really admire how much work and resilience you have in that path that you took. But it doesn't have to be literally about that. That's just something that's specific. So for some of you it might resonate, but for others of you, like, it's just in like how much potential that you clearly have, that you've built up over your lifetime of through needing to be resilient. And not everyone might be aware of this. I do feel like on some level, even if people don't know like the amount of resilience that you've needed to have in your life, it's kind of like they sense it, like they can feel it. And there's this inherent like respect that they have for you, even though they might not know why. Because with the Eight of Pentacles, I do feel like people also admire how you kind of keep to yourself. Like, you do your work, you have things that you might have passions or even hyperfixations or things that you get really focused on, that, and you don't talk about it. Like, you're not, you don't necessarily show off, you don't necessarily tell people what you're up to. You don't necessarily put it in people's faces. You might even be a little bit secretive, but it might also just be that you're so engaged in what you're doing. Even if it's not just work, like in your life in general, you're so present and engaged in your life, you don't feel the need to tell anyone about it. You might also keep your head down at work and not gossip, not really be involved in too much of what's going on around you. People might really admire how you just keep to yourself, you mind your own business, and you do what you want to do, you do what's asked of you, or you do what's needed. But from a place of like pure focus and passion. And with the Seven of Swords and the Emperor there, like, this is, again, like that idea that there's more to you than people see. There's like that sense of like the Seven of Swords. I'm getting the idea, like, I'm getting the specific idea, because it's kind of like, it almost looks like this Seven of Swords figure is like running away from like these like tents in the background, stealing swords from them and like getting out of there. And I'm getting like this specific storyline of like someone who grows up in the circus and manages to run away one day, like steals some swords, and manages to like run away one day, and then becomes like this great emperor later on, and like no one really knows fully like where they came from, and like no one really knows how they garnered this much power, but like because they were able to get themselves out of their prior circumstance, maybe without much help, and get into a new situation, and like use the resources that they were able to take to somehow like make them into something. Like these swords might not be very valuable inherently, but like this person, I feel like this is the kind of person who could like sell anything to anyone, just be like, oh yeah, like no, this is like really worth a lot, but like swindling. Like I don't mean, and I there's a silver-tongued kind of energy coming through. It's like, I think group 2 was really a lot about communication and how one communicates. This, and that was like more of like almost like a friendly, playful energy that gives way to something a lot deeper and more analytical. And this is almost like a little bit of like like I don't know if I trust this person, but I respect them, you know? Like I feel like this person can sell me anything, and that's like, it's like you have the ability to use your power for good or ill, and people might not always be so sure exactly what you're going to do with that. And there might be a certain amount of grudging respect from people, even if they don't always trust you or don't always like that. So take that only if it resonates. But I also feel like there's a resourcefulness here, an ability to take something that might not seem overly valuable and make something of value out of it, and put the time in and the effort in, and then like blow up and become this like big figure and like this really important like regal figure, and people are like, whoa, how did this even happen? Like they can't even track the path, because again, you keep it to yourself, but people can sense this about you. Like they know that you put the work in, they just didn't see it happening. And they admire that you're not on social media, honestly. Like if you're not on social media, or you don't post a lot, you're just like not really in the public like limelight, like people admire that about you. They admire that they don't know what's going on with you. And then finally with the Knight of Cups here and the Knight of Wands clarifying it, it's almost like, in addition to all this kind of maybe mysterious, kind of intimidating even energy that you might give off, like I feel like there is an open-heartedness, there is a genuine caring, it's like behind, in spite of, or because of, or in addition to all of this really like, I feel like self-focused, independent, and very, as I said, intimidating energy. The Knight of Cups here with the Knight of Wands, like there is passion under it. There is genuine heart and genuine care. And I feel like people can also sense that. Like you might be someone who doesn't always wear their heart on their sleeve, who doesn't always like show their cards or show their affection or show their care for others. There could be sometimes the assumption of selfishness here from some people, but I feel like a lot of people do see that even if you don't show it in an overt or traditional way, like there's a lot of like, there's like almost like a deeply romantic, maybe a lot of people also admire, like maybe you have a lot of romantic options and people really admire that about you as well. Like you might garner a lot of interest. You might be the subject of a lot of romantic fantasy as well. Or you might be that person, or both. And people admire that as well with the Knight of Wands here too. You might be very attractive in a unique way. And you also might be very passionate. I feel like in the right circumstance with the right people, maybe even engaging in the right project or the right thing, you are very open-hearted and you are very passionate. But I feel like it's very circumstantial. You don't just open your heart to anyone or anything. You are very calculated about that, or at the very least reserved about it to a certain point. But with the Six of Pentacles being on the bottom of the deck over here, you're very fair and balanced. And I feel like with everything that you've garnered for yourself, whatever resources that you have for yourself, you are someone who, again, you might not be showy about it, but I feel like you will give back. And maybe if you've come from a difficult background, you even give back or support people who have a similar background or situation without necessarily without necessarily like making that what your whole life is about, but people nonetheless are aware. Some people are. I'm getting like a Bruce Wayne, getting like a Batman vibe. And like, this is very extreme. Like, I know not everyone's going to be like a billionaire, a secret billionaire who like, well, I mean, I guess Batman's a secret billionaire, but like Bruce Wayne's not secret. But you know what I mean? Like someone who like wants, it's like comes across as like either like, oh, like it's more Batman than Bruce Wayne, like overtly kind of gruff and threatening, but like ultimately has big dreams for, it's almost like if Batman is like the main persona and then Bruce Wayne is like the mask, it's kind of like Batman, like, oh yeah, he like fights criminals and he's like all rough and stuff, but then like Bruce Wayne, like, you know, he'll be involved in like charities and infrastructure building projects and stuff, and he's not just about like being a vigilante, he's about like also engaging in systemic change, using his wealth to do those kinds of things. Whether or not he's really successful in the stories, I'm not sure the extent of Bruce Wayne's like, or the effectiveness of Bruce Wayne's like charity or whatever, but like that's the kind of vibe I'm getting. It's like, yeah, it's like you like to give back, you want to give back, and you might not do so in a way that like, you're not like warm and fuzzy all the time, but like it's in there, you know? I hope that made sense. Yeah. Okay, so let me close out with a final quote from Rumi. So Rumi, what else? Ooh, that popped out real fast. When the seawater rises to become a cloud, it loses its bitterness and pours the rain of sweetness. That's okay. I almost feel like that's clarifying that Knight of Cups there and Knight of Wands. It's like, yeah, when the sea water rises to become a cloud, it loses its bitterness and pours the rain of sweetness. It's almost like you're someone who might have reasons why you could be bitter. I mean, I feel like everyone has reasons why they could be bitter. But something that people admire about you is that even if you have reasons that you could be bitter, you could be resentful, you could maybe not be such a generous or giving person, when it counts, you really are. And you have that capacity, and you still have an open heart in spite of whatever you've dealt with in the past that was difficult. And in spite of whatever success that you've garnered for yourself, even if you're someone who like doesn't necessarily have like a really deep, dark past, I feel like you worked hard maybe to get where you are, to be the person that you are, and you could easily walk away from other people and just be like, hey, I did it myself, I don't know, like figure it out. But you are someone who has an open heart, who's willing to share like the love, and who's willing to share the abundance, and who is passionate on some level, even if it's not overt, about like sharing with others and being open-hearted and kind and generous. So I think that's all we've got. So yeah. Oh, and I just want to say that you might have actually like gone through a transformation of that. Like maybe you've transmuted a lot of bitterness and a lot of things that you did feel bitter about, which is fine, like to be that way. But I feel like you going through that process, for the people who are aware of it and who have been with you through that process, who know what that's like, they really admire like having watched you come out of that and like really change and transform and become someone who can like take that bitterness and like transform it, and then now like metaphorically pour the rain of sweetness in your life, bring sweetness back into your disposition and into the lives of the people that you work with or engage with on a regular basis. Yeah, very generous, very nice, very kind. All right, now we're done. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. Please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear how you felt about this reading and what insights you got and how you related to this in the comments below. If you are interested in a personal reading, we do offer those on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com, link in the description. And we also offer human design and hypnosis services if you're interested in those as well. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful life, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye!